The night shift at the Alaska Research Facility was usually quiet. Tom Walker liked it that way. The empty hallways and humming machines gave him peace of mind as he made his rounds, checking equipment and fixing whatever needed to be fixed. At 42, he had spent enough years dealing with people to appreciate the silence. But tonight was different. The first sign came from its handheld meter, which started beeping like crazy near the basement level. Tom frowned at the readings. The energy spikes made no sense. They were off the charts, and the pattern looked like nothing he'd ever seen before. "Great," he muttered, adjusting his tool belt. Probably another blown fuse from those scientists and their experiments. He headed down the metal stairs, his footsteps echoing in the empty stairwell. The basement was colder than usual. Tom's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing the rows of utility rooms and storage spaces. The beeping from his meter grew louder as he approached the janitor's closet at the end of the hallway. That's when he heard it. A crash, followed by what sounded like cursing, but in a language he'd never heard before. Tom reached for the door handle, expecting to find maybe a raccoon that had somehow gotten in, or perhaps one of the newer research assistants who had gotten lost. He turned the handle and pulled. What he found instead would change his life forever. There, tangled in mop strings and covered in cleaning solution, was a woman. But not just any woman. Her skin had a slight purple tint that seemed to shimmer in the flashlight beam, and her hair, if you could call it that, looked like strands of flowing silver light. She wore what appeared to be some kind of high-tech suit, now thoroughly soaked with pine sol. She looked up at him with eyes that were definitely not human. They were completely silver with no pupils, yet somehow managed to convey absolute royal indignation. "You will assist me immediately," she commanded in perfect English, though her voice had an odd musical quality to it. "I am Princess Luna of the Star Empire, and this situation is entirely beneath my dignity." Tom stood there for a moment, processing what he was seeing. Then, despite his best efforts, he started to laugh. The princess's silver eyes narrowed. "You dare mock my predicament." "I'm sorry, Your Highness," Tom managed to say between chuckles. "But you have to admit, this isn't exactly how first contact between our species should go." He stepped into the closet and began carefully untangling the mop strings from her elaborate outfit. "I'm Tom Walker, by the way, maintenance engineer. Mind telling me how a princess from the stars ended up in our cleaning supplies?" Luna huffed, but allowed him to help her. "We were testing new teleportation technology. It was supposed to be a simple demonstration of our superiority over lesser civilizations. Clearly, there were unforeseen complications. Lesser civilizations, huh?" Tom reached up and unhooked a bottle of window cleaner that had somehow gotten tangled in what looked like a very expensive piece of alien technology on her wrist. "And how's that working out for you?" "This is merely a temporary setback," she insisted, then winced as she tried to move. "Though I admit your cleaning solutions are more potent than expected. And these primitive cleaning tools are remarkably easy to become entangled in." Tom noticed her communication device was sparking slightly. "Your people coming to get you. My personal guard is attempting to locate me." But she hesitated, looking somewhat embarrassed. "Your planet's electromagnetic field is interfering with our tracking systems. They estimate it will take several hours to penetrate what they call your primitive atmospheric interference. So, you're stuck here with us primitives for a while." Tom grinned as he finally freed the last mop string. "Well, Your Highness, welcome to Earth. Would you like a tour of our primitive facility while you wait? We even have indoor plumbing." Luna stood up, trying to maintain her royal dignity despite being dripping with cleaning solution. "I suppose I have no choice but to accept your hospitality." She paused, then added with genuine curiosity, "What is indoor plumbing?" Tom just smiled. This was definitely not how he expected his night shift to go. After helping Luna get cleaned up in the facility's bathroom, which she declared surprisingly functional for primitive technology, Tom faced his next challenge: keeping an alien princess entertained while waiting for her rescue. "I suppose I should eat something," Luna announced, looking around the break room with obvious doubt. "Though I'm not sure your Earth food would be suitable for someone of my status." Tom opened the break room refrigerator. "Well, Your Highness, we've got leftover pizza from the day shift, or I could make you a sandwich." "Pizza?" Luna's silver eyes narrowed. "What manner of sustenance is that?" Tom pulled out the pizza box and opened it. "Only humanity's greatest contribution to the universe. It's food that's so good, we haven't changed the recipe much in hundreds of years." Luna peered into the box, her nose wrinkling at the sight of the pepperoni pizza. "You expect me to eat this flat circle of substances?" "Trust me," Tom said, putting 2 slices in the microwave. "Sometimes the simplest things are the best." While the pizza heated up, Luna tried to use her wrist device again. Sparks flew from it, and she jumped back with an unprincess-like yelp. "Your planet's magnetic field is completely disrupting our technology," she complained. "How do you primitives even function with all this electromagnetic interference?" Tom handed her a plate with the warmed pizza. "We adapt. Try the pizza before judging Earth technology." Luna stared at the pizza as if it might attack her. Finally, with great reluctance, she picked it up the way Tom showed her and took a tiny bite. Her silver eyes widened. This is... She took another, bigger bite. "This is actually quite good. How did you primitives create such a delicious combination of flavors?" "We're full of surprises," Tom grinned, eating his own slice. "And you might want to stop calling us primitives. We may not have teleporters, but we've come pretty far in a short time." Luna was too busy devouring her pizza to respond. When she finished, she looked almost embarrassed at her lack of royal manners. Perhaps I should learn more about your civilization while I wait. Purely for diplomatic purposes, of course." Tom was about to respond when Luna's wrist device suddenly crackled to life. A voice spoke in that musical alien language, and Luna's face grew serious. "My guards say they're having trouble pinpointing my location," she translated. "Your planet's electromagnetic field is more complex than our initial scans indicated. They say it could take longer than expected." "How much longer?" "Perhaps a day, maybe more." Luna looked worried for the first time. "They also detected some unusual activity in orbit. They think we might not have been the only ones to notice my teleportation signature." Tom straightened up. "What do you mean?" "There are others who would be very interested in finding a Star Empire princess alone on an unprotected world," Luna said quietly. "My guards are trying to reach me first, but..." A sudden beeping from Tom's facility monitoring tablet interrupted her. He pulled it out and frowned at the readings. "Speaking of unusual activity," he said, showing her the screen, "these energy signatures just appeared around the facility. They look a lot like the ones I detected when you arrived." Luna's face turned a paler shade of purple. "Those are not my people's ships." She stood up quickly. "We need to leave. Now." "Leave? Why? What's out there?" Luna grabbed Tom's arm with surprising strength. "Because if those are who I think they are, this facility won't be safe for much longer. And since you're primitive, since Earth isn't officially under Star Empire protection yet, they won't care who they hurt trying to get to me." Tom looked at his half-eaten pizza, then at the worried alien princess. So much for a quiet night shift. Tom's truck bounced along the snowy Alaskan road as they fled the research facility. Luna sat in the passenger seat, constantly checking her malfunctioning wrist device and jumping at every shadow. "What exactly are we running from?" Tom asked, keeping his eyes on the icy road ahead. "The Deep Space Coalition," Luna replied, her silver eyes scanning the night sky. "They're rebels, you might say. They believe the Star Empire has too much power. Capturing a princess would be a huge victory for them." A bright light suddenly lit up the sky behind them. Tom looked in his rearview mirror and saw an explosion in the distance, where the facility stood. "They're destroying the building." Luna gasped. Good thing everyone's gone for the weekend, Tom said grimly. But we need to get somewhere safe. I have a cabin about 20 miles from here. It's off the grid. No electricity to trace. Luna looked at him in horror. No electricity. How do you survive? You'd be surprised, Tom smiled. Sometimes the old ways work best. They drove in silence for a while, until Tom turned onto a narrow dirt road. The truck's headlights illuminated swirling snow and dense forest on both sides. Suddenly, a beam of light shot down from the sky, cutting through the trees ahead of them. They're scanning for me. Luna ducked down in her seat. My royal DNA signature is easy to track. Tom didn't hesitate. He turned off the truck's engine and lights, letting momentum carry them forward in darkness. Hold on, he whispered, turning the wheel sharply. The truck slid down a small embankment, coming to rest under a thick group of pine trees. Tom quickly threw a tarp over the vehicle, one he kept for emergencies. Your primitive vehicle will not hide us for long, Luna whispered, though she sounded more worried than condescending now. Maybe not, Tom agreed, grabbing his emergency pack from behind the seat. But the storm will help. Look. The snow was falling harder now, thick flakes swirling in the wind. Luna's eyes widened in understanding. The precipitation. It will interfere with their scanners. Exactly. And I know these woods better than any alien scanner. Tom checked his compass. My cabin's about 2 miles that way. Think your royal feet can handle a hike? Luna stood up straighter, trying to look dignified despite her situation. I have had the finest physical training in the Star Empire. I can handle your primitive wilderness. 20 minutes later, Luna wasn't feeling quite so confident. She struggled through the deep snow, her high-tech suit apparently not designed for Alaska's harsh weather. Tom walked ahead, using his knowledge of the terrain to find the easiest path. How do you navigate without technology? Luna panted, after nearly falling for the 3rd time. Tom helped her over a fallen log. Stars, landmarks, knowing the land. Humans got along just fine before GPS, you know. A distant humming made them both freeze. Through the trees, they could see strange shapes moving in the sky. Ships, Luna whispered, belonging to the coalition. They're using thermal scanners now, she said. They'll find us soon. Tom looked thoughtful. Thermal scanners, huh? Looking for body heat, he pointed to a nearby stream. How waterproof is that fancy suit of yours? Luna's eyes widened. You cannot be serious. The water's flowing under the ice. It'll mask our heat signatures. Plus, they won't expect anyone to be crazy enough to go for a winter swim. This is absolutely undignified. Luna protested, but followed Tom toward the stream anyway. The humming of the ships was getting closer. Tom started breaking the thin ice near the bank. Sometimes, Your Highness, survival means doing undignified things. He grinned at her, ready to try another Earth experience. Luna looked at the dark water, then at the approaching ships and sighed. I'm beginning to think I underestimated how challenging you humans can be. The inside of Tom's cabin was dark and cold when they finally arrived, both of them dripping wet and shivering from their icy stream crossing. Luna watched as Tom quickly moved around the space, working without any modern technology. Within minutes, he had a fire going in the stone fireplace. The warm light filled the small cabin, revealing wooden walls covered with books, maps, and what Luna recognized as tools, though much simpler than anything in the Star Empire. Here, Tom said, handing her some dry clothes. They're not royal garments, but they're warm. Luna examined the thick flannel shirt and wool pants with curiosity. Your clothing is primitive, yet practical. She disappeared behind a screen to change. When she emerged, she looked very unprincess-like in the oversized Earth clothes, but considerably warmer. She moved closer to the fire, examining the flames with fascination. You created heat and light without any power source, she observed. Tom chuckled, putting a kettle on the wood stove. Fire was humanity's first great technology. We've been using it for thousands of years. Yet you've gone from fire to space observation in less than 3 centuries, Luna said thoughtfully. The Star Empire took twice that long. She paused. Perhaps that's why some fear your species. Fear us. Tom raised an eyebrow, preparing 2 cups of hot tea. We're the ones without teleporters or spaceships. Luna accepted the tea carefully, sniffing it before taking a sip. Her silver eyes widened at the taste. This is quite good. But yes, many in the Empire fear how quickly humans advance. Your adaptability is unsettling to some. A comfortable silence fell as they warmed up by the fire. Luna's eyes wandered around the cabin, taking in the books on the shelves. What are all these paper objects? Tom walked over and pulled down a book about Earth's space program. Books. We use them to store and share knowledge. He handed it to her. This one shows how we went from flying the first airplane to landing on our moon in just 66 years. Luna flipped through the pages carefully, her expression changing from mild curiosity to genuine interest. This is remarkable. The innovation speed. The solutions you found with such limited resources. She stopped at a picture of the first moon landing. You did this with computers less powerful than my broken wrist device. Sometimes limitations breed creativity, Tom said, adding wood to the fire. When you can't just teleport somewhere, you have to figure out other ways to get there. A distant explosion made them both jump. Luna rushed to the window, but Tom pulled her back. Stay away from the windows. The firelight's dim enough that they won't spot it easily, but they might see movement. Luna nodded, learning to trust his survival knowledge. She returned to the book, but her hands were shaking slightly. I never thought I'd be in this situation, she admitted quietly. Hiding in a wooden shelter, wearing primitive clothes, running from my own people's enemies. She looked up at Tom. And being helped by someone I would have dismissed as a primitive just hours ago. Tom sat down across from her. Life has a way of changing our perspectives. Indeed. Luna traced the book's picture of the lunar module. You know, the coalition ships have a weakness. Their scanning technology depends heavily on detecting energy signatures and heat. They're not very good at, what did you call it? Old-fashioned observation. Are you suggesting we might have an advantage they won't expect? Luna smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't a royal or condescending smile. It was the smile of someone discovering something new about themselves. I'm suggesting, Tom Walker, that perhaps it's time I learn more about how humans solve problems. She closed the book carefully. After all, you've survived and thrived on this challenging planet without any advanced technology. Clearly, there's more to your species than we realized. Another explosion sounded, closer this time. They both knew they wouldn't stay safe in the cabin for long. But now, they had something they didn't have before. Mutual respect, and the beginnings of a plan. The coalition ships arrived just before dawn. Tom and Luna heard them before they saw them. A low humming that made the cabin's windows vibrate. 3 dark shapes descended through the snowy sky, their scanning beams cutting through the early morning darkness. They're using a standard search pattern, Luna whispered, peeking through a small gap in the wooden shutters. They still think we'll be using energy signatures they can track. Tom finished checking his hunting rifle, ready to show them how primitives fight back. Luna nodded, looking strange but determined in her flannel shirt and boots. I still can't believe we're defending ourselves with such simple tools. Simple doesn't mean ineffective, Tom grinned, grabbing his backpack. Did you set up those traps like I showed you? Yes, though using ropes and fallen logs seems far beneath royal dignity. Despite her words, Luna smiled. She had spent the last hour helping Tom set up various hunting traps around the cabin, modified for much larger prey than usual. The first coalition soldier appeared through the trees, wearing sleek armor that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. They carried what looked like advanced energy weapons, but moved cautiously through the deep snow, clearly uncomfortable in Earth's environment. Tom watched them approach through his rifle scope. They're not used to dealing with weather like this. See how they're struggling in the deep snow. Luna nodded. The coalition relies too much on their technology. Most of them have never had to fight in actual physical conditions. She paused. Like I used to think, before I met you. Suddenly, one of their traps sprung. A hidden rope yanked upward, sending 2 coalition soldiers flying into the air, their weapons dropping into the snow. Their shouts of surprise were very un-alien-like. Now, Tom shouted, firing his rifle at the fallen weapons, disabling them in puffs of snow and sparks. Luna threw open the cabin's back door, using the distraction to run toward their second line of defense. The remaining coalition soldiers spotted her and started shooting, their energy weapons lighting up the dawn sky. But Tom had planned for this. The soldiers' shots hit sheets of ice and snow he had carefully positioned in the trees. The energy blasts melted the ice instantly, sending avalanches of snow down onto the attackers. Their suits aren't waterproof, Luna called out with almost childish glee as she watched the coalition soldiers struggle. They never expected to deal with frozen water. More soldiers emerged from their ships, but they were falling into trap after trap. Simple rope snares, falling logs, and strategic piles of snow were creating chaos among the highly trained but environmentally unprepared aliens. Tom ran to join Luna behind their makeshift snow fortress. "How's that primitive human ingenuity working for you now?" he asked, reloading his rifle. "I admit, I'm impressed," Luna said, ducking as an energy blast flew overhead. "Though we could still use some help from my guards." As if on cue, her wrist device crackled to life. Through the static, they heard voices speaking in the musical language of the Star Empire. "They're coming." Luna's silver eyes lit up. They'd finally broken through the electromagnetic interference. A new sound filled the air, a deep, powerful hum that made the coalition soldiers look up in fear. Through the morning clouds, massive ships appeared, their designs more elegant and refined than the coalition vessels. "The Royal Guard," Luna said proudly. "And they're about to witness something unprecedented. A primitive human and a Star Empire princess successfully defending themselves using nothing but local materials and simple tools." Tom watched as the larger ships disabled the coalition vessels with precise energy blasts. "Think this will change how your people view Earth?" Luna looked at the chaos their simple traps had caused, then at the coalition soldiers being rounded up by her guards. Some of them were still trying to get out of snow piles and rope snares. "I think, Tom Walker, this will change how we view a lot of things." The Royal Guard ships hovered above the snowy clearing, their engines melting perfect circles in the snow beneath them. Luna stood tall as her guards approached, though she made no move to change out of her Earth clothes. Tom noticed she actually stood a little closer to him when the guard captain approached. "Your Highness," the captain said in English, his silver armor gleaming in the morning light, "we came as quickly as we could." His eyes moved to Tom, then to the coalition soldiers still tangled in primitive traps. "Though it seems you had the situation unexpectedly well handled." "Thanks to Tom Walker," Luna said firmly. "He protected me using methods our advanced technology couldn't have matched." The captain's expression was hard to read behind his fancy helmet. "A human protected you. Your father, the Emperor, will find this difficult to believe." "Then perhaps," Luna smiled, "it's time for the Empire to learn some difficult truths." More guards were now examining the traps, looking bewildered at their simple but effective design. One of them tried to scan a rope snare with an advanced device, as if expecting to find hidden technology. "It's just rope," Tom explained, trying not to laugh. "Sometimes the simplest solutions work best." The captain turned to him sharply. "You dare address the Royal Guard directly." But Luna stepped between them. "He dares because he has earned that right. This human showed me more about true intelligence and adaptability than 1,000 royal tutors." She looked around at the battlefield. "Look at what he accomplished with just local materials and quick thinking." The guards murmured among themselves, studying the scene. Coalition soldiers, with their advanced armor and weapons, had been completely defeated by snow, rope, and well-placed logs. It went against everything they believed about primitive species. "Your Highness," the captain said carefully, "the Emperor sent us with orders to bring you home immediately, and eliminate any primitive witnesses to maintain secrecy." Tom tensed, but Luna's laugh surprised everyone. "Eliminate him. Good luck." She picked up a nearby stick and drew a line in the snow. "Step over this line, Captain. Try to capture one simple human. But know that if Tom Walker could defeat a coalition attack force with just rope and snow, imagine what he could do to you." The captain looked at the line in the snow, then at Tom's calm expression, and finally at the coalition soldiers being untangled from their primitive but effective traps. For the first time, uncertainty showed in his posture. "Besides," Luna continued, "it's too late for secrecy. The coalition knows about Earth now. They'll be back, better prepared next time." She turned to Tom. "Unless..." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Unless what?" "Unless we change things." Luna faced her captain again. "Send a message to my father. Tell him I found something more valuable than any teleporter test. I found a species that defeated advanced attackers with nothing but ingenuity and basic materials. A species that could teach us much about thinking differently." "Your Highness, that's not protocol." "Protocol?" Luna gestured at her flannel shirt. "Was it protocol for a princess to hide in a wooden cabin? To learn to set hunting traps? To drink something called hot chocolate?" She smiled at Tom. "Sometimes breaking protocol leads to the best discoveries." The captain looked around again, seeing his fellow guards still puzzling over the simple but effective traps. Finally, he gave a slight nod. "What exactly are you proposing, Your Highness?" Luna's silver eyes sparkled. "I'm proposing we stop thinking in terms of advanced and primitive. I'm proposing the Star Empire learn some humility, and perhaps learn some new ways of solving problems." She turned to Tom. "That is, if Earth is willing to teach us." Tom looked at the scene around them. Alien soldiers and royal guards standing in the snowy clearing of his cabin, all of them reconsidering everything they thought they knew about primitive species. "Well," he grinned, "I suppose I could start with explaining how a lever works." 3 months later, Tom stood in a grand hall of the Star Empire's diplomatic ship, feeling slightly uncomfortable in his new suit. The Earth clothes seemed out of place among the advanced technology and elegant alien designs all around him, but Luna had insisted he wear them. To remind everyone, she had said, that sometimes the simplest things are the best. The ship hung in orbit above Earth, its massive windows showing the blue planet below. After weeks of careful negotiations, this was the day of the first official meeting between Earth's representatives and the Star Empire. Luna stood at the front of the hall, wearing her royal garments but with one noticeable addition, a simple flannel shirt collar visible beneath her elaborate robes. She caught Tom's eye and winked. "Members of the Imperial Court," she addressed the gathered aliens, her voice carrying across the hall. 3 months ago, I found myself in an embarrassing situation on Earth. I was tangled in primitive cleaning tools, rescued by a maintenance worker, and forced to hide in a wooden shelter. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some of the court members looked scandalized. But that experience taught all of us, an important lesson. Luna gestured to where coalition prisoners were being led in, still bearing marks from their snowy defeat. These rebels attacked us with the most advanced weapons in the galaxy, and they were defeated by rope, snow, and quick thinking. She walked over to a table covered with simple Earth tools, a lever, a pulley, a wheel. Next to them sat advanced alien devices that did similar jobs with much more complexity. "The humans have something we've begun to lose," Luna continued. "They understand the basic principles behind everything they build. When their technology fails, they don't panic. They adapt. They find new solutions, simple solutions, that often work better than complex ones." Tom watched as she picked up a simple rope. This defeated trained coalition soldiers, not because it was advanced, but because it was used cleverly. She smiled. "And now, The Star Empire has a choice. We can dismiss humans as primitive, or we can learn from them. The Emperor himself stood up. And what exactly can we learn from them, daughter? Luna's silver eyes sparkled. Everything, father. How to think creatively. How to solve problems without relying only on technology. How to, she grinned, get out of a tangled mess of mop strings. Laughter rippled through the court, breaking the formal atmosphere. Which is why, Luna continued, I propose we create a new position, Earth Ambassador to the Star Empire. And I nominate Tom Walker for the role. Tom tried not to look too surprised, though they had discussed this earlier. The Emperor studied him thoughtfully. A maintenance worker as ambassador. A human, Luna corrected, who showed us that wisdom doesn't always come in advanced packages. She held up her wrist device, now repaired. Our technology is wonderful, father. But Tom taught me that understanding basic principles, truly understanding them, is more valuable than any advanced device. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. Perhaps you're right. He turned to Tom. Ambassador Walker, your first task will be to establish a cultural exchange program. It seems we have much to learn from each other. Tom stepped forward, thinking about how much had changed since he opened that utility closet door 3 months ago. Thank you, Your Majesty. I suggest we start with something simple. He grinned at Luna. Perhaps I could teach your engineers how to make a better mop. Luna laughed, a sound that made several court members stare in shock. And I can teach Earth about advanced space travel. Though, she added with a twinkle in her eye, perhaps we should work on making our teleporters a bit less likely to land princesses in cleaning closets. As the formal ceremony began, Tom looked out at Earth floating below. Sometimes the biggest changes started with the smallest things, like opening a door and finding an alien princess in an unexpected situation. He just hoped the Star Empire was ready for more Earth-style solutions to their problems. After all, he had a lot of simple tricks left to teach them.